to us. He gives the keeping of the lights along the shore. Let the lower lights be burning, send a gleam across the wave. Some poor fainting, struggling seaman, you may rescue, you may save. Dark the night of sin has settled, loud the angry billows roar. Eager eyes are watching, longing for the lights along the shore. Let the lower lights be burning, send a gleam across the wave. Some poor fainting, struggling seamen, you may rescue, you may save. Trim your feeble light, my brother. Some poor sailor on just tossed, trying now to make the harbor, in the darkness may be lost. Let the lower lights be burning, send a gleam across the wave. Some poor fainting, struggling seamen, you may rescue, you may save. All right, right across the page, 263, Sweet Hour of Prayer. This has got Mount Pisgah's lofty heights in the last verse. Mount Pisgah is where Moses was allowed to go up on Mount Pisgah and look over at the promised land, but he was forbidden from going into the promised land by God. He wept and cried. God said, you're not going because you struck the rock twice, and I told you to speak to the rock. Now, why God did that serious thing to Moses, I don't know. But anyway, Moses was leading the children of Israel, and he did something God told him not to do. Sweet hour of prayer, sweet hour of prayer, that calls me from a world of care, and bids me at my Father's throne make all my wants and wishes known. In seasons of distress and grief, my soul has often found relief, and oft escaped the tempter's snare by thy return. Sweet hour of prayer, sweet hour of prayer, sweet hour of prayer, thy wings shall my petition bear. To him whose truth and faithfulness engage the waiting soul to bless. And since he bids me seek his face, believe his word and trust his grace, I'll cast on him my every care and wait for thee. Sweet hour of prayer, sweet hour of prayer, sweet hour of prayer, may I thy consolation share, till from Mount Pisgah's deal with somebody writing to me and chewing me out.
Microphone.
What?
Microphone.
Turn your radio off.
All right. Okay, we are on the internet all over the world, and we have people writing to us from Europe and from the Netherlands, that's Holland, and from Japan and Africa and Israel and India, and they like this. A lot of them like the message, and some of them don't. It don't matter to me, just as long as they'll write. I got an email from Chris Jackson in Reno, Nevada. He loves this message. He says, I'm watching message 3880, and about 1 hour and 20 minutes in, you mentioned how man's love of money, greed, stuff, and self are causing the heating up of the planet. Well, it is. We are systematically destroying the delicate balances God Himself created because we want more. That's covetous. We want self. I see a lot of parallel with Israel and the 7-year Sabbath cycle. Israel failed to obey God about letting the land enjoy her Sabbaths. Obeying God is about predestination, and burned up the land of nutrients. Now we are burning up the earth because we want more money, manufacturing, material possessions for the same reason, self. Seems to me that the world has been literally reliving the Garden of Eden every day of every year. Every day the world awakens to say, today I'm going to make a name for myself by leaving my mark in life. Like Eve, forget God's authority. I'm my own boss. I'm a God. Didn't God say that back in Genesis 3:22? Even the dracon, or the serpent, which means to fascinate, but it is the word dragon in Revelation, stated that when he tempted Eve, Genesis 3:5, today people celebrated Mother's Day. Seems like everybody that knows me are tearing me up here. I do not celebrate the pagan holiday, Mother's Day. I don't know everything yet about it, but all you have to do is go online and look up pagan origins of Mother's Day, and it'll tell you all about it. I know it is pagan nonetheless. My mother-in-law texted my wife this morning to say, if you don't celebrate Mother's Day, then you don't celebrate Father's Day. Well, God is our Father, and Jerusalem is our mother. At which my wife replied, don't matter, Mom. He doesn't celebrate Father's Day either. I'm so glad the Lord is in charge. Seems like everyone around me thinks I'm nuts. Me too. I have a long way to go, I know. I have a lot to be removed from me to become more perfect, which means mature. That will come with time, God's time. Agape and flow to the church always. Chris Jackson in Reno, Nevada. Thank you, Chris. We love you, brother. And Michael Stanley in Texas writes, thank you for the videos. Hope I can view them soon. I do have a question. When God created every animal and bird, did God choose to not predetermine what Adam would call them? Absolutely, He chose it. We can't originate anything in ourselves. The verse says that God brought them to Adam to see what He would call them. Yes, but man doesn't originate anything. God puts it in man's mind to do what He does. He says the answer of man is from the Lord, there in Proverbs 16:1. Whatever Adam called every living creature, that was the name thereof. And Adam gave the names to all cattle and the fowl of the air and to every beast of the field. And Adam said about his helpmeet, she shall be called woman. It seems that God can predetermine are not predetermined. I'll get that out of there. As he chooses to do, he predetermines everything. What is your understanding of this? Thank you. I await your answer, Michael Stanley in Texas. No, I believe God predetermined for Adam to say what he said. We don't originate anything. We're not unique. Unique comes from uni, meaning one. A unique town is a one-horse town. All right. And then John Lanny writes, "Hi, Pastor Jim." Hi, John. Was wondering what to say when people tell me that most ancient religions teach that God dies and is resurrected, implying that the resurrection of Jesus came from another religion. All the old pagan religions believe their God's resurrected, but they didn't have any proof of it, since the former religion came first and Christianity later. No. God preordained Christianity before the foundation of the world. He chose us before the foundation of the world. So we were first. Everybody else was imitators. Yuri Saikev in California. Hello, Brother Jim. Hello, Yuri. Wanted to thank you for your ministry and your teaching. I find myself listening to your sermons almost every day. Throughout my work day, learning a lot, but with that comes questions. I do have another one in Romans 1 and 2, particularly the word new, which is the Greek word gnosko. So who is this talking about? If they knew him, they didn't, why didn't they glorify him? Who is talking about? Believers, thank you, Jim. God bless you and your ministry. Yuri Sakev. I preached on that. In fact, I preached it on TV the other night. He would say they put God away from them. Well, that means they had him at one point to put him away. He's talking about believers there in Romans, the 1st chapter. He didn't write a letter to unbelieving vessels of wrath fitted to destruction. He mentioned them, but he didn't write to them so they get their hearts right with God when they're already vessels of wrath fitted to be destroyed. Robert LaBarbera, he's very faithful. They represent us down in Texas now, down in Houston. Jim married all at grace and truth. I know that Jim doesn't like to celebrate his birthday since he thinks it draws too much attention to him. That's not why. Let me just straighten this out. Birthdays were pagan. There's 2 birthdays in the Bible. There is Herod's birthday, where they cut off John the Baptist's head. And there is Pharaoh's birthday, where the Pharaoh took the baker that was in prison, took him out and hung him. Now, who you going to hang and whose head you going to cut off? Huh? Now, here's one of my favorite verses on birthdays. Jesus' birthday was not celebrated until the 4th century. Pope Julius I gave Christ's Mass its pagan name. Let me read this to you at Ecclesiastes 7 and 1, okay? A good name is better than precious ointment, and the day of death than the day of one's birth. So if you're going to celebrate anything, celebrate the death day of the saints, not their birthdays. Enough said on that. Then LaBarbera says, a wonderful man, wonderful wife. However, I want you all to know just how grateful Jim has been to me personally, and how I am grateful that he was born and went through all the agon and tribulation that the good Lord put him through. This tribulation changed Jim by allowing him to become a clear vessel in which the light of God's truth can shine through. God's polishing cloth almost killed Jim in his 40s, and that's true. But Jim sure is shining now. I hope I'm doing nothing but shining for the Lord. Don't want to shine for me. I know that if Jim wouldn't have been born, the Lord would have risen up someone else in his place. However, this person wouldn't have Jim's personality, good looks, charm, great voice and charisma, along with all the bad things we love about him. I'm being sarcastic, Jim. I love you, Jim, and we'll meet you in person someday to give you a hug, either on this side of eternity or on the other side, where the Lord is. Here's to you, Jim. I pray this day is a good one for you. Mary, and all grace and truth. God bless, Robert LaBarbara. Thank you, Robert. I love you. You guys mean a lot to me down there. Then Ann Caffrey from Ireland writes. She's been with us a long time, about 20 years. Thank you, Jim, Tom, Mary, and all grace and truth for the DVD. So glad you're doing well, Jim. I thank God for everything. Ann Caffrey in Ireland. She's a sweet lady. We love you. And then Shirley Marshall in Ridgeway, Virginia. Dear Pastor Jim and church family, I have purchased a few of the books on your recommended book list, but lately I'm finding it easier to listen to books online as I do chores at the same time. In high school, I would read out loud for competitions and would like to try recording audio books. Just to let you know, I started today with the Book of Acts, recorded by Alexander Scorby. I used to have that series by Scorby. Since listening to your teaching, I'm excited that it has so much more meaning than when I was in Charismatic Baptist or any of their churches. I've been in just about every kind of church imaginable. Haven't attended a local church in over a year. Good. Stay away from them places. They're hellholes. They're lying is what they're doing. Boy, people will resent that, won't they? When they preach all those false doctrines, it's wrong to go to them. Much to the dismay of my family members, but I'm much happier for it. I'm still unemployed, but keep busy with my home, grandchildren, and neighborhood. Still hoping to come to the picnic. If I can work out all the details. I like watching you on YouTube and thinking about starting my own channel, hoping to distribute more DVDs around the area soon. Much love, Shirley. And Shirley Marshall in Ridgeway, Virginia. We love you, Ann. And then Gil Naveau, Port Arthur, Texas. What a wonderful lesson Wednesday night, even with the pause about 1 hour, 17 minutes on YouTube. It was like a small test to see if I really hungered for truth. God made me recheck to find indeed His word is never in vain, as you are back live again. My birthday is next week as well. All right, bang them which happy birthday. Don't believe in them. All they do is lift man up. You realize that? Man rises up above the crowd and he's shining above others. Almost 1 year to the day that we moved back in our apartment since Hurricane Harvey. Your lessons are my highlight of my each week and a guidepost to the narrow way. So happy you're 80 years old. Wish I could have personally have told you so. Agape, Gil Naveau in Port Arthur. Thank you, Gil. We love you. And then, beloved Pastor Jim, happy 80th birthday. May the great grace of our Lord Jesus, who encamps around you, continue to uphold and sustain you and your loved ones throughout this next decade. We continue to be blessed by your ministry. Agape and prayers. Isaac and Ebenezer in the United Kingdom. That's Great Britain or England. That'll be enough reading. I'll come back and read some more later. I've got all kinds of letters, and I never can get to everything. Remember our announcements. We're on the internet 24 hours a day, all over the world. We've got about 2,000 messages on the internet. We've got a total of 3,896 messages as of tonight. These are master DVDs, and if you want to watch all of our DVDs, It'll take you into the next 30 or 40 years to watch them all, okay? Now, we try to support our needy people. We got a bunch of needy folks. I picked up about $2,200 or $2,300 today at the bank, and I'm going to mail these out to the people. I gave some away here at the church. We give, we help people that don't make enough money to live on, and we try to help them. If you want to help the needy, make your check to Grace and Truth, and put needy on the bottom of it. Every bit of that goes to them. Our picnic is just a few weeks away. Annual International World Picnic of Grace and Truth Ministries. Well, it is if everybody wants to come. All you got to do is show up down here on the 29th of June, and about 5 weeks away from now, and we'll be down here on the lake at Rockland Recreation Center. If you go out our driveway, turn right, immediately the next light, turn left and back to the right, and you're on Rockland Road. And go down there till you start to go over an overpass where the train goes under it, and there'll be a sign that says Rockland Recreation Center. It'll point off to the left, and you go down there to the end of that, and it'll be a point on the lake. And we have a good time down there we've been having our picnic for 20. Mike, do you remember when our first picnic was? He's got his calendar up here.
99?
Was it
99, 98?
somewhere around 98, 99? So it's been over 20 years. And we have people come from around the country. And if you don't know where to stay, just look at our website, graceandthetruth.net, and we've got recommended, got a recommendation for motels around here. We got all kinds of expensive motels, but we got 2 fairly cheap ones, in-town suites down here, and back to this way about 1.5 miles. We've got in-town suites down here. What's the one down here? Relax Inn down here. We got some expensive ones like Holiday Inn and Hampton Inn and like that, but if you don't want to pay that high thing, well, just come and join us. All right. And we have our chili cookout in October the 5th, same place. Just get prepared to come in October. We appreciate it. Well, let's go to the Lord in prayer. And Mike, you want to pray for us?
Most gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you once again for bringing us here safely, that we could hear your word in truth. And your Spirit would continue to guide us each day where you place us in this world amongst wolves and goats and those who don't have ears to hear. We know that it's your goodness that leads a man to repentance, and we can only pray that you would continue to do so as we look for that time you bring the last sheep into the fold and put an end to all this world that we live in. We know you have a purpose for it all. We know it's for to us. And give you praise for this ministry. Continue it as long as you have it to move forward. That in all things we give you praise in Christ's name. Amen.
get all our top ones full, and then she did Ministries. And she just had all the lower ones done. Good. You can bounce off the walls. What's up, Tim? That's grass.
Dude, I gotta go to the bathroom before the camera starts.
You can bounce off the walls. Sugar.
Thirty seconds.
Jim, forgot to get my blood pressure monitor. I can't hardly see.
15.
She's got to get her blood pressure monitor.
Wanna wait a minute?
No, we can go ahead. I mean, she'll be back. She's just getting her blood pressure